What is up, everybody? It's your boy Doody back again with another video, and this time we're taking a look at our boy DSP's daily rap video after a day of RPG Burnout. That's right, our boy Phil played Baldur's Gate 3 for the 1000th time, and then Like a Dragon Infinite Beg on the night stream. And the only really interesting news from the day was Phil's inability to control Derek's spamming and being just utterly annoying in his chat. But that's going to be a separate video talking about that that very weird dynamic between Phil and Derek. But let's see what Phil had to say on the Daily Wrap.
My final consecutive streaming day of the week of RPG Overload Madness. This week, as you know, I made an incredible push to get as far as I possibly could in the two major RPGs that I've now been playing an incredibly long time. This week, Baldur's Gate 3, top almost 130 hours of playtime. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, reaching around 55-ish hours of playtime. And both games, quite frankly, need to wrap up because we've got new games on the horizon. We got a new one on Friday. There was more that are coming out that I'm actually foregoing for now, but I'm considering bringing in at a future date once we wrap up everything going on. So today, primarily was RPG Mania yet again, a second day in a row.
All right, so I'm going to talk about this because by all reports out there, both Dragon's Dogma 2 and Rise of the Ronin are pretty good games. I just saw the reviews for Rise of the Ronin, and pretty much people are giving it a 9 out of 10. I think the lowest score I saw was an 8. I'm actually going to be buying both Dragon's Dogma 2 and Rise of the Ronin. I'm going to play those two and probably play them for the next couple weeks. And they both look good. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because Phil's so concerned and worried of what game to play and appeasing the dents and making sure that he makes the right investment. Because again, yes, this is all about investing for Phil. He looks at this purely from a financial bottom line. And that's the reason why he won't buy two games. I don't understand that. If you have RPG Burnout, right, and you were tired of playing Baldur's Gate 3 and Like a Dragon Infinite Beg and Final Fantasy 7, why not buy those two games? Why not buy Rise of the Ronin and then Dragon's Dogma and play both of them? And just drop Baldur's Gate, drop Like a Dragon, and drop Final Fantasy. Just don't play them for a while. Take them out of rotation for the next, 2 weeks. And focus on Dragon's Dogma and Rise of the Ronin. A smart person would actually do that. It would be two new refreshing games that you can play. One on the day stream, one on the night stream, and then you can alternate it depending on support goes. But does Phil want to do that? No. Why? Because it would require him to fork out another $70 for a game. And, I mean, we know he fucking had a shit fit when he spent $30 on Star Wars Collection and it was a bomb. And he's still fucking talking about the money he wasted. This is an investment, Phil, for your business. It's a fucking tax write-off. So why are you so concerned about dropping another $70 on another game? You're the fucking cheapest content creator I've ever met. And then you wonder why people get bored of your fucking playthroughs. Then you complain that no one's viewing the on-demand content. That you're getting 200 people a stream. And then for the on-demand views, you're lucky if you get 100 views a playthrough. Put that shit on the fucking shelf and play two new games. Stop being fucking cheap. Stop trying to run a business, as you call it, on a shoestring budget. You gotta invest the fucking money, Phil. And if the game is a bomb, then the game is a fucking bomb. You're perfectly fine with wage quitting shit, so what's the problem? If it doesn't make any fucking money, or you get bored of it, or whatever the fuck you want to say, then just quit it. And move on to the next fucking game. But you have this fucking OCD, autism in you that you must finish these fucking games. Why? Why do you need to have the compulsion to have to finish these games in a set timeline? These timelines are fucking arbitrary. They're all in your brain, Phil. No one gives a fuck. Just shelve Baldur's Gate 3 and Like a Dragon and play these two games. And if one of them bombs, fuck it. Drop that game and then bring back Baldur's Gate 3. It's not that hard, Phil. You sit here and you stress and you want to fucking make the dents feel guilty for RPG Burnout and no one is supporting, but you're the idiot that continues playing these fucking games. And the other thing too is I can't wait for him to play Dragon's Dogma. And from what I hear, it takes forever to get from one point to the other. It's essentially a walking simulator. And I can't wait for the fucking dents in his chat to fucking scream, "This is boring," and Phil loses shit. Anyway, let's keep going.
All these RPGs being condensed and trying to get as far as I can in them. So how did that go? Well, first of all, we had a level 1 podcast this morning discussing the early reviews of Dragon's Dogma 2, which are very positive. Overall, it seems everyone who's played this game early has enjoyed it, with the only criticism being the graphics aren't as good on console because the frame rate gets choppy. But outside of that, apparently the game is outstanding. We also talked about a very positive update regarding DSP Throwback, because we are very quickly approaching the conclusion of the first playthrough there, Red Dead Redemption. And once that wraps up within a week or two, we're going to move on to restoring, upgrading, and making more modern another classic playthrough. Now, one of the shoo-ins has been LA Noire, but a big request has been Fallout 3, and I talked about the viability of that this morning, and the good news is that it's good news. But based on talking to my my editor team, they're thinking that we can do it. So check out the podcast if you want to hear about all that stuff. And then we jumped into Baldur's Gate 3. Today was great progress. Okay, first, we had finished up the Orin boss fight yesterday. We got the Spoils of War today, completely looting the Baal's Temple. We actually completed 1 or 2 side quests, including the Clown side quest. We have to find all those gruesome body parts that have been chopped up. Yeah, we were actually able to find all of those and trade those in. We had rescued Lae'zel, so now Lae'zel is back as a party member. And then we went and finished her quest line where basically she gets her ultimate weapon. Then we decided to do the Shadowheart quest line, which took quite a bit. We had to go to this place called the House of Lies. We had to basically go in there, and this plot line ensued. A ginormous fight. Actually, this is the most enemies I've had in a singular fight in this game so far. It took a while to get through, but we did it. And then we had the conclusion of her plot line, which was very, very dramatic. And then we decided to go to the... Is it Azure? I can't remember the name of the dragon, but apparently there is a dragon sleeping under Baldur's Gate. This is revealed in the plot many hours ago. And there's a whole dungeon that you have to go to and complete a series of trials to basically unlock this dragon and have the dragon come help you in the final fight. So we're working on that. We had just arrived. We had done one of the trials and we ran out of time. So great progress. I mean, if you think about it, this week in Baldur's Gate, we completed a ton of the companion quests. In fact, the only one left is Will's, and that's what we're working on right now. And then after that, it's just conclusion of the game. So we are definitely in the home stretch of Baldur's Gate 3, and we might finish it this coming week. We actually might. It's not guaranteed, but it's a very strong possibility. Then, in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth...
I had to take a minute there to take in the 2.5 minutes of Boring Gate 3. That's what I'm going to be calling it. Boring Gate 3. That fucking playthrough has dried up. I mean, you have this one dent that keeps dropping cash Phil's way, and he's the only person supporting this fucking game. If you notice, the last like 5 streams, he's gotten $100 right on the dot. Because apparently they want to continue the hat streak for Boring Gates 3. Now, this playthrough is almost over, and I've mentioned that once this is done, I mean, what else does Phil really have that's bringing him any money whatsoever? Nothing. Baldur's Gate, I mean, he's played it, about close to 40 times, and he's made over $5,000 in support for this game. And again, there's nothing on his channel for, probably for the last couple of years that's kind of brought in that support. Not even Elden Ring. Elden Ring dried up after like the second or third week. But yeah, he has 1 or 2 dents that continue dropping cash on this game and making sure that he's making $100. If you notice the super chats have been fucking dead. And the views have been dead. When you go to his stream, there might be 250 people watching that fucking stream. It is. So, after this is done, I mean, he better pray that Dragon's Dogma gets a big following. I don't see it. Not his fucking dents. His dents have the patience of a fucking gnat. And when they see Phil walking around on the map, just wander, because there's no fast travel, there's no like a chocobo to ride and speed up. No, you gotta sit there and fucking walk. And I could just imagine his fucking chat spamming, "This is boring, this is boring, this is boring," and Phil losing his shit. And of course, when the dents feel like something's boring, they're not going to support. He may get initial support on the first stream, but just like everything else, when he decides to play it twice, support's going to fucking dry up in the night stream. He'll do okay the first stream, and then the second one will get dried the fuck out. And then he'll bitch and complain that no one's supporting it. And it's another long RPG. It's the fucking rinse and repeat with this fucking denthead. Always. When he can simply just take my advice, right, and get both Rise of the Ronin and get Dragon's Dogma and play both of those and just put fucking Baldur's Gate and Like a Dragon and Final Fantasy, put those fucking games on the shelf. Bring them back in a few weeks. But if you focus on these 2 games, maybe, Phil, you might be able to save the business.
Tonight, amazing progress yet again. We did just a little bit of the side content in Kamurocho, but then we had to push forward with one other major mission. That it's kind of like a side mission, but it's part of the story. Once that was done, we went back over to a Gintro, got more of the plot, had to do an epic fight. All I'm going to say without spoiling, super epic fight. If you remember in Yakuza Like a Dragon, there was a couple kind of almost like fan service fights against, classic characters. Well, tonight was another one of those. That's all I'm going to say without saying a word about who it is or anything like that. It was a really epic fight. It took a while to do, but it was fun. We beat it, and I thought, let me push forward and try to keep going to finish Chapter 12. That way we only have 13 and 14 left. Well, Chapter 12 is apparently pretty long because the plot advanced, and it got me into another dungeon. I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting all that Kamurocho stuff and this epic fight and now a dungeon. So we got far in the dungeon. In fact, we're at the end of it, and there was a save point, and that's where I saved and ended it. So we went about a half an hour extra tonight, but we got really far. So when we play Like a Dragon again, we're basically going to have the conclusion of that dungeon, and then moving to Chapter 13, which is probably going to go back to Kasuga and crew in Hawaii for another chapter, and then we're going to wrap up the playthrough with 14. So even so, we might actually finish both Baldur's Gate 3 and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth next week. If we don't, we're going to get so close that very first few days of April, those first few days of gameplay, we're absolutely wrapping them up. And then we can go wholeheartedly, full-fledged into new playthroughs. Speaking of which, I'm off tomorrow, but I'm doing some work towards the new playthrough on Friday, which is Dragon's Dogma 2. I actually just downloaded the character creator, pre-ordered the game, and I'm downloading the game to my Xbox Series X right now. And tomorrow on my day off, my wife and I are going to make the characters. I'm going to make my character. She's going to make a pawn for me that I'm going to use in my playthrough. And so that's going to be done ahead of time. You might say, well, I don't get it. Why are you doing that ahead of time? Well, here's the deal. I cannot play another RPG. We have to finish Baldur's Gate and Like a Dragon. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to play Dragon's Dogma 2 on release day. I'm going to be playing it all day long on Friday. But I wanted to do all gameplay. That way it's not me lingering making characters for an hour and wasting that precious time that I have to play. So I'm doing it the day before. So on Friday, we're doing it all day long, both streams, 5 or more hours of launch day gameplay of Dragon's Dogma 2. So I hope you'll be here, if you can, all day long on Friday. Then after that, Dragon's Dogma 2 temporarily goes on the shelf for me to finish Baldur's Gate 3 and Like a Dragon. So I'll be playing those Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as long as needed till they're done. Once they're done, Dragon's Dogma 2 comes back full-time capacity. Probably Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes back. And I'm going to be beginning co-op gameplay with my wife of Beyond Two Souls, which we've been wanting to start for weeks, and we had to wait till we wrap this up. And we might even bring another game into the mix, like Alone in the Dark or something like that. So after this coming week, we are fully into all new playthroughs, and the lingering ones will be done, I promise you, okay? But we got to get through this week. Please join me on Friday for the Dragon's Dogma 2 premiere, and then it'll come back full force once we wrap up these other games, okay? Everyone, I wish you.
Well, okay. Let me start on a positive note here. Let me start with some positivity. I'm glad he's finally realizing that if he wants to be a good streamer, he should do some work off stream. Maybe take that advice, Phil, and do your setup. Fix your setup up, fix your mic settings, do all that shit when you're not working, and be prepared when you go on stream. You shouldn't be fucking doing noise filters and mic checks and all that shit when you're streaming. That's the first thing. So I'm glad it only took him 15 years to finally realize that maybe, just maybe, he should do some pre-work before he comes on the stream. That's a very good idea for you to do that hour or so character creation with the horse and not bore everyone for an hour, because you do it every fucking time. You did it with Starfield. When you played Starfield, you spent nearly 45 minutes doing your character creation. That shit is fucking boring. No one wants to watch that. No one, Phil. So I'm glad it after 15 years you finally realized that maybe you should do some of that filler work off stream. You should have done it during Tekken as well. Maybe you should have played Tekken every so often when you weren't working, so that you can practice and learn it, and maybe, just maybe, you would have been better than you were. Same thing with Mortal Kombat, and the same thing with Street Fighter. But again, Phil, you're very fucking lazy, and the only reason why you're probably doing the character creation is so that you can say, hey, look, my wife is still here, she didn't move out, we didn't divorce yet, and she's actually helping me with my character creation. Look at that. I don't know. I'm not sure if Dragon's Dogma will save the business. Nothing saved the business so far, so I'm pretty sure this won't do it either. But again, Phil, you refuse to take advice. You refuse. You should take my advice. I'm being in the Doody advice segment I just dropped earlier. I gave you very sound advice that you should take. You should basically shelve all those games that you're playing, buy Rise of Ronin, and buy or make an investment in Dragon Dogma and Rise of the Ronin, and you should simply just play those two games for the next 2 weeks. And then if the dents get bored, move on to something else. Or if one of those playthroughs don't work out for you, then shelve that and go back to Baldur's Gate 3. It's not hard, Phil. Streaming isn't fucking hard, Phil. You know, maybe if you just take a little bit of advice, maybe you can eventually save the business. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace out.